Candidates woo me, some just use me.
I don't know if you'd call it a talent. It's just something I've always done.
Bucky's brownback girl was seen on CNN, ABC, and even PBS.
That's right, 'cause the senator from the state of Kansas is Mr. Religious Right.
At the time you did that it was going to be seen all over the country?
No. We just thought this was be a fun thing to do for be a fun thing to do for the Eagles. Just thought it was going to people around here get a kick out of it on Kansas.com.
There aren't many well-known people who have escaped Bucky Walters' eye.
Vote for NOLA, N-O-L-A, NOLA.
Even Sedgwick County DA Nola Folston knows what it's like to be the focus of Bucky's creative talents.
20 years ago, she began her first term.
So, how does one become known for being funny?
Well, what were you like as a kid? Were you the class clown or no?
I think so. I think so. I had a teacher in high school that came down on me pretty hard one time for trying to be too funny, you know.
Now Bucky has gotten the last laugh. What used to get him in trouble has made him into a household name.
It says things like, if I can't be there in person, rest assured, I'm with you in spirit.
For the past 20-some years, he's been a staple in the Gridiron cast.
On CNBC, and I don't want to miss a minute of it.
After graduating from high school, he traveled the country.
I used to be on the road in bands. I had a record one time that did pretty well. It got to number 2 in Germany and went throughout Europe.
It was a 45 called Firewater. The last time Bucky heard it was back in the 70s.
Firewater.
It just sounded so not cool. It was so empty. It sounded like maybe 2 guitars and a drum, down, 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 down. And I was thinking, gosh, that's Firewater. But back in the day, it sounded so full and everything, and people liked it. But it was just, I wouldn't want anybody to hear it.
For a few years, Bucky was a lead singer of Bucky and the Premiers. Then the group cut back to 4 members, so instead of singing, Bucky began playing bass.
Never could ever play it. I never could have played. But we were good showmen. We were good performers. And I remember Cockney saying one time that, I was getting this huge ovation, and I was rolling around the floor playing this bass, and he said he looked over and I wasn't even plugged in,
Obviously, he played it well enough to get the attention of some pretty high-profile acts.
We would back up the people in the Johnny Cash show and stuff like that. I kept telling my agent, I want to be a comedian. I want to be on my own. I don't want the band. I want to be on my own.
But at that time, there weren't many places a comedian could work.
Back in those days, they didn't have comedy clubs. They just had strip joints. You were either a star or playing strip joints and introducing, tell 2 quick one-line dirty jokes and then bring out the vivacious Yolanda.
Despite all the work he was getting, Bucky's parents thought he needed to get a real job.
My parents were continually saying, when are you ever going to do anything? You're going to do something. When are you ever going to do anything? And my mother was a hairdresser. After I did the bands thing, that's when I went to cosmetology school. I went and looked at this one beauty school, and here were 2 rows of girls with maybe 3 guys sprinkled around. And I said, how long do I have to wait to get in here? And these were good-looking girls,
A lot of people know Bucky as a comedian, but very few know this is actually what he does for a day job.
I don't picture you as being a hairstylist.
No. Yeah, no. Nobody does. In fact, Bucky sure isn't a very good name for it either. It's like Mr. Tex. Hey, gonna have Mr. Tex or Mr. Buster do your hair? Scrubbing my head with his fingers, blowing my hair till it dried.
He's done this woman's hair for the past 35 years. Taking this kind of job put a crimp in his travel plans, though.
I didn't want to leave that. I mean, it's not something that you can just go and call people up and say, hey, I'll be back in 6 months. Make your appointment.
So he came off the road and began performing locally. He hit the big time in 1986. That's when Mike Hayden became governor.
When he found out that I liked him, he got me bookings every little bitty town in western Kansas. I was portraying him in one of those, and his people were out there his very first year. And they said, well, why don't you come to Topeka? Would you come to Topeka and do that? I started getting bookings all over as Hayden, see. And that's when I started adding other impersonations, because you couldn't just go be one guy, you know. So I started adding Reagan and this.
And a number of other politicians as well, which is a good thing since Mike Hayden was defeated in his race for a second term. That defeat sent Bucky in a whole new direction, one that's affected his performances to this very day.
And then Finney beat him, which surprised me, and I thought, well, what I'm going to do? And that's when I said, well, I'll just go ahead and be Joan Finney.
The towns who had seen him play Mike Hayden began booking him to come back and play Joan Finney.
In almost all those towns, it'd be a town hall, and in the one men's room, it's usually 2 urinals and a stall. And so that I'd be hiding out in the stall, waiting to go on. Boy, you could tell when some guy would come in and look down and see the high heels and stuff. I mean, he couldn't get out of there fast enough.
That was the first time Bucky played a woman, and there's rarely been a gridiron performance where he hasn't played a female character since. And he has really good-looking legs, too. Anyone who's seen him perform knows Bucky has that elusive and extensive talent, a talent so fragmented that it's kind of hard to categorize.
What are you doing here?
I was not invited.
And what the did you do to your hair?
I had it cut. They're going to make me the leader of the show.
I've had agents call me and ask that, what do you do? And I'm like usually, what do you do? And I said, well, I act. And, oh, you're an actor? Well, not really. You're a comedian? Well, could you say satirist? Because it sounds like if you say satirist, if you're being introduced to a crowd and they say satirist, it doesn't sound like you're supposed to get huge laughs. I always pictured myself saying profound things that were semi-funny.
How did you come up with your ideas? What triggers them?
You know, you can go through the paper. I mean, you can go through the paper here and just add stuff to whatever is already there. I've always said, as long as we keep sending the people we do to Topeka and Washington, D.C., I'll never have to hire writers. My favorite comedians have come out of Washington and Topeka. That's right. They're always good for a laugh.
But not all laughs come from politicians.
I make fun of myself more than anybody else. I really do. I mean, I just... in fact, half my stuff is putting myself down, you know. And I try not to hurt anybody's feelings.
As most of the people he's parodied can attest to, being a Bucky target is really quite flattering. It's kind of like a badge of honor of sorts.
I've always said, I wish I were that famous and well-known that somebody wanted to poke fun at me and they'd know who they're talking about. I mean, I always thought that'd be pretty neat.
Bucky's achieved so much in his life.
What's wrong?
But like anyone who's achieved a lot, he also made some sacrifices along the way.
I've never been married, and I don't think probably I could have done all that if I had been. I mean, I wish I had a grandkid, I suppose. I mean, I remember when I was about 35, my mother saying, when are you ever going to get in a bad marriage? You know, all your friends are doing that, and I have grandkids, but no, not you. You go out there and not get married and get in a bad marriage and be like everybody else.
Bucky says the key to his success was the fact that he followed his heart and did what he loved doing. The best thing about doing things that you love is no matter how much work it takes, it doesn't feel like work.
Was it easy, or was it a lot of hard work?
I don't think I considered it work. I just never have done anything very hard.
So, in other words, if you're doing something you love, it doesn't seem like work?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
What's the greatest accomplishment of everything you've done?
I don't know. I always look at it like I'm looking forward to my greatest accomplishment. I've had a terrific life, yeah, terrific life. But you know, it's all good. I mean, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.